Gloria Starr, International Etiquette and Manners Coach. I've had the pleasure of working all over the world, and it gives me great joy to be able to create and share some of these videos with you so that you too can enjoy proper etiquette, dining, and the social graces. So what does an etiquette coach do? Well, we teach manners and etiquette, the social graces, meet and greet skills, the art of the handshake, and small talk, conversation starters and stackers, cell phone etiquette, and everything in between. There's etiquette for everything, but perhaps you just didn't know about it. So let's start today with this video on tea and coffee etiquette. So it's not very often that you see a lovely set of silver tea and coffee pots, but let's clarify first of all. A coffee pot is always tall. A teapot is always short and stout. And at a regular tea party, I like to see the women wearing hats, and if I'm the host, I might allow and select someone in my group of guests to pour the first cup and pot of tea. So the person that's chosen for that is certainly considered my guest of honor when they actually do the pouring of the first round of tea. And when you're preparing your tea pots, whether it's china or silver, I recommend that you heat the water to almost boiling, but not quite. When water is boiling fully, it actually taints the tea and brings out a bitterness in the tea, so that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it? Now, particularly in a china teapot, I would open and take off the lid. And when I'm preparing the pot, prior to putting the tea in, I'm going to put a knife in the pot and then pour some of the hot water directly onto the knife. This actually breaks the heat so that you have no chance of breaking your lovely china teapot. And then I would leave several inches of water in there and allow it to warm the pot. And then empty that out, and then be ready with my loose tea leaves or my tea bags, depending on the situation, to be able to pour the water onto the tea bag, or drop the tea bag ideally into the hot water after you have prepared the water and put it in your teapot. And don't stir in the teapot or crush the tea bags, because it's going to again bring out the bitter taste that I'm sure you really don't want at all. So that's a couple of tips with the teapot. And I know it's a casual society today, and we see many people drinking out of mugs, and I think it's actually dreadful. And there's no excuse for it. Even at work, you can take a lovely china teacup and take it into the office. And this is a beautiful one with pattern inside, and it's just lovely. So let's say that you already have your tea in the cup. Now, if you were in parts of Europe, particularly Britain, you would not put the tea in the cup until you have actually decided on your sugar and your cream. So with sugar, there's actually a proper sugar spoon, which would look something like this. And you would actually take that off, put your spoon in here, and put it into your cup. Now, because this is now used, it would go into the sugar bowl, and then that would be passed around. Easy to pass sugar because you have a handle that the other person can pick it up on, so that's always a good plan. Now, if you're going to put milk, which is always in the tea rather than cream, cream is more suited to coffee, so I'm going to pour that, and I would pour it like this. Now, if my guest beside me is asking for cream, or in this case milk, I'm going to turn it around so the handle faces her, and then I'm going to hand it to her with this gesture here. So I'm putting my left hand onto my right wrist. I'm looking at the guest, smiling, do a slight bow, and I'm handing them the milk bowl, or the milk pitcher, and then they would realize that they could take that. Now that gesture that I just described is actually a Korean gesture showing the greatest level of respect for someone. And that slight bow and the smile and looking at them is a way of honoring our guests. So although it came from Korea, I use it on a regular basis as well. Our role as etiquette coaches is to be way above and beyond average, and these are just small tidbits that add up to a great big difference. So now the tea has steeped, and we're going to actually pour the tea. You always hold the lid. Now this lid is actually attached, but in most teapots it's not. So you're going to pour that and pour the tea in and then set it back down. Now you won't be able to turn the teapot around to hand someone the handle, but you would actually, as the host of the party, pour the tea for people, or your wait staff would do that as well. Now we can next, because we have both milk and sugar in our tea cup, we can actually choose a spoon. Now I have 3 different sizes of spoons. This spoon is a teaspoon, yes, and it's got a slightly longer handle than some of the other teaspoons that I have to demonstrate with today. The teaspoon that you choose is going to depend on the size of the cup. So as we see here, it's going to sit out of the cup just a little bit. So this would be the correct length for this size of a teacup. Shorter teacups, we also have handles that are shorter on our teaspoons. So when you're stirring your tea, it's going to be very, very quietly, not hitting it against the side of the cup, and none of this clang, 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 and definitely no licking of the spoon. When you're finished stirring to melt the sugar and make the milk blend with everything, you can set it at the back of your coffee or tea cup and leave it like that. When you're drinking your tea, you don't bring it all up to your mouth like this. You're actually leaving the cup down with the saucer on it, and then you're bringing the cup up to your mouth. Now for the women that are wearing lipsticks, drink only out of one place on your teacup, because then it would stay clean and tidy all the way around and not have lipstick around the entire lip of your cup. So that would be a good way there. Now I did mention about other sizes of teaspoons, and these are about the same size, although maybe 1/4 of an inch shorter. This one is actually a gold and a silver, mostly silver with a tiny touch of gold. It's again for a cup that is shorter than the ones we're using today. But I like this combination because it's gold and silver. So you notice on our fancy teacups, it has a gold trim on it, but in our silver tea service, it of course is silver. So the combination of the two is lovely. You may want to gather some of those. And then this one, which is gold, has a very short handle on it, and it's for a much daintier cup and a lower cup. All good choices when you're doing your tea and coffee service. Now, if you put regular sugar in, that's what the sugar spoon was about, but many times you're offered a sweetener, whether it's brown sugar or an artificial sweetener, and this is what I see people doing on a regular basis. They'll be shaking it like this, and they'll be hitting it like this. None of those things are appropriate, and the reason being that it's going to draw attention to something that's functional. And in our world, there's way too much reality. So let's just calm down on that and do things that are graceful. So it would be tearing gently with this to be open, and then pouring it in here with little motion and attention-getting detail, and then setting it on your saucer, unless there is a small cup or a little tray that the debris was supposed to be put on, and you could do that as well. But that's a good option there. Remember, it's the cup that comes to your mouth rather than the cup and the saucer. So that's a brief lesson on tea etiquette, and keep in mind, coffee is somewhat similar, but we may not have quite this dainty of a cup, although it does work. But the coffee service is always tall. The teapot is always short. I'm Gloria Starr, International Etiquette and Manners Coach. Thanks for joining me for this exciting video clip on on tea and coffee. As you begin your business as an etiquette coach, I wish you great success. Gloria Starr, training international people all over the world since 1983.